Hi, everybody, and welcome to another Lunch Bunch show. Today is going to be really fun because we're going to be talking about tools. No, I'm not going to make that joke. It's too easy. So we're going to be talking about the kind of tools that we use, apps, extensions, software that help us achieve our goals and in the social media world. So we're going to talk about productivity tools. We're going to talk about Chrome apps, Google Plus tools, and social media tools like social sharing, that kind of thing. So we want your ideas because we all need tools, and I can't help it. I'm sorry. We have a wonderful set of tools with us today called the Lunch Bunch, and they're going to help us find what tools work for them and share it with you so that you can do what you want to do on social media. So we're going to start by introducing the panel, and we're going to start with Jessica.
You always start with me, so I'm saying hello, good morning, it's Jess from sunny Seattle. Check this out. It's even all over my face today. I am so happy about it, and I am glad to be here as a purposer. I'm always in need of and love to share ideas about tools that we can use for anything and everything.
Thanks so much, Jessica. And Micheline, bienvenue, welcome aboard.
Thank you. It's been a while, eh, Ray? I haven't come in for some time, eh?
Well, now that you're the star of your own show.
Oh, come on. I'm Micheline Bourque. I'm a marketing consultant. I'm a big fan of Mr. Ray Hilt. Ray Hilt is just awesome. I'm happy to be here, but I'll probably be much more in a listening mode because I want to learn from you guys. If I can contribute a little bit, I'll be happy to do so because I hadn't planned on joining the panel, but since you invited me, I couldn't say no, eh, right?
Wow.
So happy to be here and look forward to the discussion.
Great to have you. Hi, Randy. How you doing?
Very well, Ray. Randy Bowden, and I'm very happy to be here today because I have been called a tool a few times, so that's great. I think I fit in.
At least 10 times today so far, and that's just the green room. How you doing, Scotty?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. Jess was right. It is sunny in Seattle, and I stayed up too late getting another daily the Scott treatment out.
Wow.
But delighted to be here.
I'm enjoying those, Scott. Those are great. I'm enjoying those. I look forward to those.
Thank you.
Vivek.
Hi. Vivek here, and yeah, I'm in UK, closer to London. It is quite sunny today, unusually for London.
We should open up every show with the weather forecast for your particular area. I think that'd be super. And in Montreal today, it's partly cloudy, but still spring-like.
Yeah, and being an engineer, I always use tools. So.
Okay. William, welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me. Basically, weather is cloudy, probably some thunderstorms today, and hopefully not tornadoes here in Kansas.
Yes. Cross your fingers. Hopefully not. It's early this year, isn't it? The whole tornado season.
They've got some big ones coming through, haven't they?
Wow. We just got a weather update. Breaking news. It's sunny and hot in Georgia. That's from Randy. Okay. So Christopher Vogelman, what does it say there? I saw that and then I missed it.
He says sunny Seattle is an oxymoron.
Scott wants you to think so. I would say that's why we live here. Is the days with the sun make the rain makes the sunny days that much more beautiful.
Maybe they're confusing with Portland.
Maybe.
Okay, so let's talk tools. So we're going to break this down into three areas because I think like content stuff. There's so much stuff happening, so many tools. So let's go with, we're going to talk about Google Plus tools, and I'm going to include Chrome apps in there. Social sharing, such as Hootsuite and Buffer and Friends Plus Me, and productivity tools like My Dear Evernote, Dropbox, Google Drive, Lazarus. So we're going to start first with the Google Plus stuff. So I'm going to put it out to you guys. What do you use, other than the platform itself, to help you either create content, schedule content, write content on Google Plus? Anybody?
I'll say just because, and I'm with Mr. Lee. I'm learning today because I'm not, as I shared with with you in the green room. I try to keep everything very simple and use a minimal amount of app. Now I do export them, but scheduling, I use Hootsuite across the things. That's the scheduling program that I use, my go-to, my choice. Now that doesn't mean I don't do individual on the app type scheduling, but for future scheduling, Hootsuite is the product that I use.
Can I ask, when you share on a Hootsuite, Randy, do you do a specific Hootsuite post for Google Plus, as opposed to saying sharing on several platforms at the same time? Because
No, I don't do that. I use Hootsuite.
No, I don't either.
I don't share cross platforms. If it's there's only one item I do like that, and that's my blog. When my blog post goes out, it automatically posts to my Facebook account. But other than that, everything else I do, I'm doing specifically for the Google Plus page or my page or my Facebook or whatever. It's individual.
And I write something different for each one of those in Hootsuite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because Mike Alton did an incredible post about how to post on Hootsuite and share it onto Google Plus, but you can't do that if you're going to multi-share it on Hootsuite, because you can't put the photo in and then write a description and all that, because that won't work on the other platforms. So that almost does that take as much time? What would be the advantage of doing that as opposed to just going on Google Plus and posting it?
If I can answer, it's because it's like I said, I keep things simple. I've trained myself to do it that way. So and I don't see a need to change it. It's working for me, so that's fine.
It's one place, yeah. The other thing would be, maybe I don't know. I guess I like the one place idea, but I actually go to Google Plus most of the time. I schedule some things through Hootsuite, but some things I actually do write directly on Google Plus. I think it just depends on my mood at the moment.
I mean, you can monitor comments, you can monitor, replies and things like that on that one platform for every one of your channels that you've got loaded in there. So there's a convenience factor. But personally, like on Google Plus, like my page, most of that stuff I'm crafting and drafting right there. I might do it straight from an article or go to the platform or something. So I'm doing that in a live age. I don't do any of that stuff, future planning for any of that. Those mostly are business page type things.
I think in one of the shows that Mia was, I think it was Ben who said, if you care about a platform, don't automate it. That's what he was saying. If you care about a platform, as in, if you use, for example, if you care about the audience on Google Plus, then don't automate your posts there.
There's a good argument to that, Vivek, and that's important. However, some automation and some curation just has to take. You have to do it to keep active in the space.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you mean by automating. I mean, we see them in our streams all the time, and there's some big companies that do that. You just see these posts being just pushed, like you would see on Twitter. That's, to me, is automating. You're not even giving it a second thought. You're just seeing a post, and you push the link over to Google Plus. I think that's wrong. But if you take the time to create a decent post on Hootsuite, no matter what platform, as long as there's some commentary, some personal opinion, there's something about you there, and you schedule it for later, that's just scheduling for later. I don't think that's automating the same way. Automating is when it automatically gets syndicated. That's when you have like IFTTT. Is it IFTTT? Mm-hmm. 3 T's? When something just, as soon as you post something, it just gets syndicated across these platforms. That's automating, and I think that's a problem.
And you've got to have whatever you're using for that. You've got to have your phone handy, because if you post and run, there's a lifetime to the response and the comments. A little less so on Google Plus compared to other platforms, but being able to be connected to at least +1 or acknowledge something until you can get back in front of your computer is a big part of that.
And Randy mentioned something important about the Hootsuite thing is that he can track comments, and that's important. If you do post something, and at least if you're able to see the reaction or the interaction from it, you can get back to it. You don't have to hover over the platform to wait for comments. I want to get. Is anyone using Circle Count or Circloscope?
I do not use it consistently.
Okay.
I have both of them, and I don't.
I used to.
But I do use the IFTTT that you just mentioned, Ray.
Okay.
And in defense of the tool, I would say that it's just a tool. How you use it determines it's good or bad. I mean, it's just a tool. So.
You guys out there watching the show on the event page, I'd be really interested to get your views on if you're using, especially Circloscope or Circle Count. Those are very heavy duty. They're almost their own platforms. They're very complex, but they contain a lot of benefits in terms of getting statistics, finding out which posts work for you, that kind of thing. They're more diagnostic tools, and also you can find out more about people that you want to circle. I don't know if I put those in the same categories as Hootsuite or Buffer. I mean, they're a bit different, and I'm interested in the response I got from the panel because people have used it, and I have to admit I've done it as well, but then kind of dropped it because I found it took an awful lot of energy, a lot of work to do it right, to do it properly.
And I'm using it more of a strategy tool, right? Like a quarterly check-in of different things. And because of the time investment, I am not using that type of tool, Circlescope or Circlesuite, on a daily basis. But I do use that in part of my planning, and I do use that to add data to what else I've collected when I'm reviewing things.
Okay. Vivek, you have a comment from Phil?
Yeah, he says if you have to automate, you may need to rethink your strategy. So, which is, I think, what Jessica was just saying. So, and incidentally, Mia seems to be on the streams, and she's commenting. Yeah, both Ben and Rebecca suggested automation in moderation. So,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Everything in moderation.
Yeah, and I think Vivek said it, and you kind of set it up again, Ray. And it's tools are how you use them. I mean, and some of these tools, I mean, they're great. And they hit the market every day, and and somebody writes, you look in your stream, and there's 15 blog posts about the new greatest tool out there, and everybody rushes over there and uses it. And I'll go back to what I said. I don't rush to those tools like that because, like Jessica said, it's cumbersome. It's and for my personal brand or for my personal business, if it's not going to help me, then I'm not going to use it. I think a lot of people, we talk about some of these things. Some of these tools are more applicable to an enterprise type operation. Large businesses can see that, so because they got a dedicated person sitting there doing that. But for an individual doing it, it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's something that Kim asked. She says, if you schedule through Hootsuite, you won't get much traction on Facebook. Has anybody found that to be true? The answer is it used to be, and it's not anymore, and there are a couple of people you could reference. Mike Gingrich is a really good choice to keep up on some of those types of Facebook updates, and he's the one who shared that information with me. But what you post on Facebook gets different weights, so I think the difference is not how you post it, but what you're posting over there.
Mm-hmm. They used to, remember, penalize you for putting posts on.
They don't anymore.
Mm-hmm. So I want to get the Chrome. Before we leave the Google Plus Chrome part, for photo manipulation and image manipulation, I use iPicky, which is a Chrome app, and it's really basic. It's free, of course. And I use that for my lower thirds. I use it for my images. When I put the images out with quotes on them, I use them for that. And it's really, really, I mentioned to Vivek earlier, it's a bit embarrassing because it is so basic. But I don't have Photoshop background, so for me it's easy. The thing is, I know there's PicMonkey and there's a whole bunch of other things out there. Even Canva is an amazing tool, but I don't have the time for another learning curve. It's something that I'm comfortable with, and I think for me, a tool is really effective when it serves you. and then you don't have to working at it. And that's why I have those fallback tools that I use. Sorry, I interrupted.
This is something a bit naughty, if you can see. I mean, but I'm not saying that in that way. But it's not the size of the tool; it's how you use it. But
Vivek, this is a live show. Do I have to censor you?
What's the name of the tool again, Ray?
You speaking about Vivek or
the one you were talking about?
IPICY.
IPICY. Yeah, IPICCY. I think I have it in my details. Let me just check.
It's what you can do with it and what you do with it. That's
and if it's not broken, just fix it.
We've totally forgotten about something, though. I mean, with all these tools, guys, you have to look at your analytics too. You're blasting out all this stuff, and you're basically looking at things like circle scope, and you're looking at fall off. What are your fall offs and your followers? Did you offend somebody by a couple of your posts or multiple posts? Did they block you or mute you? All those little things come into play because those are also going to affect your authority. So when we talk about tools, tools are just that. They're just tools. But if we don't know how and understand how to use the tool, then it's irrelevant to our business or at that time use. It will just confuse us further because half of the people that are on the platform still are trying to get used to the platform versus, okay, now how do I post on 3 or 4 different platforms at the same time? And really, can you effectively manage all those people and all those conversations? And it goes back to what the comments are saying is, automation and moderation because of those things, because you can actually hurt yourself in the long run with things down the road with algorithm changes. Who knows?
William, do you have a tool that you fall back on often?
Google Analytics, sir.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And Webmaster Tools. Google Web and Webmaster Tools are my big fallouts because it's going to tell me a lot of different things about any client. Did they have a waterfall effect? Did they lose traffic somewhere? I'm not just paying attention to the social signal. I want to see all the way from it came from social, the conversation happened, I possibly got some clients out of that, and how did they actually, where did I get them from? And what did I say to get those clients? And what did I say to offend those clients and not get them? So it's the same thing as a person walking through your store. What was said in your article, how it was said, was it boring, was it something that was said over and over thousands of times? And nobody really wants to care about it. That's what big brands send out.
So you're choosing the metric. You're choosing what to measure and then following up on that. And I might choose something different than you, or I might choose something different than Randy. And so if I'm choosing something different, once I know what I'm measuring, then I can find a tool that I only have to learn once.
Correct.
I think there's some tools. I mean, Google Analytics it's a different category. It's somewhat like circle count. That's a different category than iPicky. I mean, Google Analytics is a strategic tool that you just need if you're going to be a writer or have a blog or a website. I mean, that's almost a necessity. What I think I'm looking at more in terms of here is the tools that we use, smaller ones, apps and stuff that we use to either get the job done faster, more efficiently. That's why we have the scheduling tools, that type of thing. Because when we talk about Google Analytics and Webmaster Tools and even Circle Count, I think I would put into that, it gets complex. But those are things that you go back to for diagnosis to find out what works, what doesn't work, and to build a strategy upon. You don't do that with Buffer necessarily,
Great point, Jim. Great.
Anybody else? Machinin? Any ideas?
Well, no. Perhaps make a comment about what was said earlier. I think that it depends who your public is. Like, I don't really use social media all that much, to be frank. But with this new project that you know of, with my book reading club, I think that I have to started to use Hootsuite and pre-program, namely some tweets, so that there's a constant roll of questions and content and information about the books that are going to be reviewed and stuff like that. So it's probably for my own purposes the first time that I'm going to find some use to using those tools. I do like Hootsuite for La Vigie to be able to see more easily the different tweeters that I follow. Mm-hmm. For that part I like in terms of intelligence and seeing what's happening on with the people that I follow. But I'm not a big user. I think that I can handle my own posts with using each of the different applications for my specific needs for the time being. But with the book club, I think I'm going to have to use it more and more because there's a bigger public to reach, and there's, to be frank, also it's not about me. It's so.
Well, it's about distribution, right? I mean, it's about getting that message out there, and that's what they do. Anybody else use any other social sharing tools besides Hootsuite? Buffer?
Well, I take advantage of the Triber stuff for the tribes that I'm in. I have used Buffer, but I don't use it at this moment. I was using that before Hootsuite.
Does anyone use Friends Plus Me?
No.
That's for distributing your Google Plus post to other platforms. No?
No.
Okay. How about, okay, let's talk about productivity. First of all, my favorite, absolute favorite Chrome app is Lazarus, as in the biblical name, Lazarus. It's a form, what's it called actually? What's the initial official word?
Recovery, is it?
Yes, Lazarus Form Recovery. It's in the Chrome apps, and it saves. I tell you, man, there's not a day goes by I say thank God for Lazarus, because what it does is any kind of field you have, and it's a Google Plus post, or when you get notifications, for instance, and you open up and you decide that you're going to comment right in the notification stream instead of going back to the post. And then all of a sudden, you hit the machine or whatever, and the notification's gone, and then all of a sudden it's gone. Well, you get back to it, and Lazarus, there's a little icon. We will save that text that you already written, so you haven't lost it. I had a blog post that was almost done, and for some reason got lost or it crashed or whatever.
Does it work with Google Plus post or comments as well?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And so I would definitely check that out, because many times when you're either filling a form out or whatever, and something happens, you have to rewrite it or you just click on that and it saves the last text that you've done. So it is a big time saver for me. So I highly recommend that. Anybody else for productivity tools?
Yeah, I've got one. It's my new straw, and it's a metal straw that gets everything nice and cold. But that's not a tool for me.
Well, and that's funny. I was thinking
productive, William. Then that's worth it.
It's very productive. It's in my water, and it makes everything nice and cold. I found it in Utah when I was on in real life with Dennis Deuce. So, anyhow,
okay.
All sorts of crazy things in Utah.
Could you put that in the comment, please, and the link to that? Thanks.
Oh.
Jessica, you were showing us something a minute ago.
I've got my sticky notes. Those are my productivity tool. I have different colors. They mean different things, and I use them not only in real life on my desk, but I also use them on my desktop to keep track of things in the short term, so I don't have to keep so many things in my short-term memory, but that I can move through things pretty quickly.
Jessica's too young to go old school there.
What was that, Randy?
Jessica's too young to be going old school there.
I am not.
So I bet you in actuality Jessica actually uses the electronic sticky notes too.
I do both. Very much both. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do both as well. And
That's
I found
redundancy.
Jessica, another thing with sticky notes though I found is Google Keep. I don't know if you've got that application.
Oh,
but Google
I don't.
Keep is fantastic.
Someone mentioned that this week, William. I don't know if it was you or not. David Emerlin had mentioned it, and I had it, and I downloaded it again, thinking, okay, if I can keep it in view, I'll use it. But if it's just going to be buried with the rest of the apps, I'll forget it, because it's a good idea. So tell me, why do you like that?
Well, the cool thing about it is I run on multiple machines. I primarily on my laptop, but I'm also in my main machines where I've got multiple monitors, and then I've got my phone, right? So I'm always somewhere. The cool thing about it is I want my notes always with me, so I can write something down in the car, stop at a stoplight, open, there it is, I've got it down, my idea in my head, and then I don't remember, if I didn't remember it like when I got home or to the office, then at least I have it in my notes, and I can just speak into it. It's just you can use your voice translation, so it basically just speaks into it and writes it for you, and then you just hit save, and it saves it to I think it saves it to Google Drive, but at the same time, it's got its own application. So I'm not quite sure on how they've actually developed it, but it's fantastic. I can just pop up in my Google Chrome, and I can go right to that.
Is it similar to Evernote, or how
Very similar to Evernote. Yeah, I think it's a lot easier than Evernote, but.
Yes, it sounds simpler because I swear by Evernote. I use it, but as we were talking about in the green room, sometimes I forget things are there because there's so many layers, there's so many notes and folders and all that. I think having just one thing, a notepad that's always there, that might be a help.
That's how I normally did it. Is I actually have a notepad right by my desk, and I've got my daily things that I know I need to get done, and then things that I'd like to get done, and then here's some ideas that I need to think about for like maybe next month. You know, but
is it mobile? There's a mobile version as well.
Yes, I believe. I don't know if it's for the iPhone or not, but I know I've got it.
Yeah, it's available on the iPhone as well.
I believe it's for both. Yeah.
Has did anyone notice that Google Docs, the Google Drive, the docs and the sheets are now separate? You can. Yeah. That there are apps for that. That's kind of handy for me. That makes finding things a lot easier for me.
Now, there was a question, and I've lost it in the comments, about project management tools that are not Evernote. Okay. And there are two that I have not used, but that I keep hearing about. One is called Flow, and one is called Asana. And they actually apparently are really good, and the people who use them love them. So if you haven't heard of those would be ones to at least check out, even though I have no personal knowledge of them.
Yeah, I haven't used a lot of those. Workflowy I'm familiar with. As well. So yeah, if someone wants to drop that link in the comments, that'd be a huge help. Anyone use who uses Dropbox?
I do.
I do.
A lot.
Okay, because I'm finding that now I have so many backups. I got my Google Drive with gazillions of gigs available. I got Dropbox. I use Evernote. And so I'm pretty well covered if something happens, because there's, I just send them to all these places.
Well, and I wanted a backup, and I actually use that for my WordPress site, but I don't sync it to my computer. I leave it out on the cloud, and I back up what's on Dropbox for all of my websites to a different external one. And I'm actually thinking about moving to Amazon S3 for that, just because I think it's a little bit stronger, but they don't have a way to get that into your Google platform. So if you're using Google Docs or you're keeping all your stuff there, you can't send backups to Google Docs. So you do need something extra for that kind of thing.
The Amazon, that's pretty new, isn't it, Jess?
Amazon S3. I think it's new to us. I know that it has been around, and it was more for the technical world for a really long time, and it's now getting to the point where people that are not in big technical companies or large companies that need those enterprise solutions can also take advantage of that.
So I use Amazon Cloud and really enjoyed it. It's you pick something and then you go with it. There is one tool I wanted to mention before we leave, and I see it's 44 minutes after the hour. I could not live without one app, which is called Mouse Without Borders, because I have two computers, and what it allows me to do is have one keyboard and one mouse, and I can go between not only my two computers, each computer has two screens, so I've got 4 screens here, and it's all seamless between the 4. And the other thing about it is that it cuts and pastes between the two computers. So if I have something over here on one computer and I want it on the other, it's just as easy, put it in the clipboard and then take it on over, and that works even for files. So I could not live without Mouse Without Borders.
I love the name, Mouse Without Borders. That's great. I haven't heard of it before.
Well, it's for PCs. I don't know. I think it might be for Mac as well, but at least for PCs.
Cool. Well, we're almost at the end of the show. Anybody else want to throw out some ideas, some apps that they use?
I use the IFTTT on my phone.
How do you use that, Vivek?
I use it to keep track of phones phone calls that I make or the phone calls that I receive. There are recipes on their website that they call them recipes.
Right.
Just use them and activate them. And it's actually, when you go to their website and once you start using them, it's really easy to do them.
It's kind of fun going through those recipes.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, that's it, I guess. Unless somebody else has an app they really want to share that's going to help solve world peace.
Well, you know what I could say is that taking a walk or taking a shower lets all the stuff and all the apps that you're using, lets all that stuff jumble around out there and then come out into something useful. So there might be power in that as well. As there's no app for that, but it is your brain.
You are your best app.
I will add before you close for productivity, just my thing that helps me create, and it's an invaluable app. What did Scott said he couldn't live without Mouse Without Borders? Well, Spotify to me is the one that I can't live.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up.
The music and the forming your own radio stations and stuff like that. It just depends on what mood you're in that you can dial it up. So that's my go-to app.
That's cool. We don't get that in Canada, but we just recently, hallelujah, got Google Play in Canada. So I'm playing with Google Play. I love it so far. I've been using RDO.
You get Pandora in Canada?
Oh man.
Pandora is a good one. I mean, Pandora was pre-Spotify. It's still very robust. I mean, but I just like Spotify.
And you know me, I'm a Google guy, so it's going to be Google Music for me.
I'm having fun playing with that. Anyway, well that's it. Show's over, and thanks so much for being here. I much appreciate everyone showing up and sharing their tools. Join us next week and have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ray.
Bye.
Bye.